Okay, here's something random for you guys. I really love Watermills. I have no idea what it is about them, whether it's their design, or historical use, or just the novelty of water spinning a wheel, maybe. Hell, I mean, sometimes I think it's just the locations they're in. There is so much to love about Watermills, but what's really funny about it as well is the fact that I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for Thomas and Friends, I wouldn't be as much of an enthusiast as I am. So I thought, well, why not make a video about both of those things, and talk about a bunch of different watermills from across the Thomas & Friends franchise. This isn't going to be a comprehensive list or anything, as finding info on literally every watermill, either made or designed for Thomas, would be basically impossible. So this is basically just going to be a video about the more prominent ones that we know of, as well as some discussion on related merchandise. So without further ado, let's talk about the Watermills of Sodor. First up on the list is simply called the Watermill, and this is probably one of, if not the most iconic Thomas & Friends locations, as it's been featured prominently in the intros and marketing since the early days of the show. It first appeared in a deleted scene of Thomas, Percy, and Nicole from all the way back in Season 2, with its first proper scene happening in Percy and Harold. Part of what makes it so iconic is the fact that it is located on Thomas's branch line, hence why it's featured so heavily in marketing, intros, and promos. However, its exact location on the branch is disputed. The David Mitten map of Sodor places it on the line to the new harbor west of Hackenbach, along the River Tid. However, the Sam Wilkinson map places it along the regular passenger line northeast of Elsbridge along the River Callan. Personally, I think Wilkinson's interpretation makes the most sense, as we almost exclusively see Thomas on it carrying passengers. There are, however, some odd discrepancies. Mainline engines such as Gordon and Henry have been seen crossing it. And rather famously, in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Thomas, Diesel 10, and Lady cross it in the final chase, but that movie is dubiously canon at best. So I think the Sam Wilkinson interpretation still holds up here. And it also goes without saying that we've seen engines like Donald and Douglas, and even shots of Thomas with the jet engine, for example, crossing the bridge by the mill. Rather interestingly as well, the Watermill itself has a musical theme, composed by Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell, but that only appeared in one season, of course, that being Season 2. In terms of the Watermill and how it functions within the universe, it, according to the wiki, is a flour mill, so I could definitely see Thomas or Toby or Percy making deliveries to and from there. It also rather strangely only served as a prominent episode location once, to my knowledge, in the Season 20 episode 3 Engines Gruff, where Thomas, Percy, and Toby hear strange sounds coming from underneath the bridge, only to discover that it was a cow the whole time. Kinda interesting episode, I guess. I will say, too, I am not entirely certain how the mill works geographically, as Thomas's branch line doesn't appear to directly cross the River Callan. So it seems like the mill is located on an offshoot of the river that has been dammed up by all the rocks, allowing for the dramatic rise and fall of the water needed to turn the wheel. Also, I think Wonders of Sodor does kind of confirm this, but I'm not entirely certain, so make up your own minds on that one. The Watermill is said to have been based on this watermill here, Daniel's Mill, at their Severn Valley Railway in Shropshire, as well as watermills in a few different paintings, such as Mill Bridge and Waterfall by C.P. Skilton, and Watermill in a Welsh Landscape by Thomas Charles Lesson Robotham. The Watermill set has been rebuilt and changed several times since its original build for Season 2, from a facelift in Season 3 with better water effects to a complete rebuild for its appearances in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. It was rebuilt for the final time in Season 6, where the set was made noticeably bigger, and much more rock and ground could be seen around the bottom of the mill, and once brought into CGI, it basically stayed the same for the rest of the series, only changing looks slightly as the show's animation improved over time. The next watermill is Rheneas Watermill, located near Rheneas Station on the Skarloey Railway. This mill is definitely not as iconic as the previously mentioned mill, but it is definitely well known to fans of classic Thomas. Introduced in Season 4, this watermill appeared regularly whenever shots of the engines were shown puffing up and down the line. Where the watermill is exactly in relation to the nearest water source is somewhat of a mystery. We do know that it gets its water from Rheneas waterfall by diverting it away from the falls through a chute, but where the water comes from to supply the falls, I'm not sure. Once again, turning to the Sam Wilkinson map and referring to shots of the engines traveling in Season 4, it is not easily inferable which side of the line the watermill is on, as it is not made entirely clear which end of the station is north and which end is south, as well as which side represents the trains going up and which side is for the trains going down. However, I think it makes the most sense for the watermill to be on the north side of the station, as directly before the station is the viaduct, which crosses the Howendui River. And given that the mill nor any other water source is shown on the map, I think it makes sense for the Howendui to be the mill's water source. However, like the previously discussed mill, this only works if we assume the mill uses some sort of offshoot water source, a source that would not make sense coming from the south and looping around. Hence why I think it starts above the viaduct and flows down gently to the waterfall to supply the mill from the Howendui River. It should also be noted that the original watermill building was actually used as set dressing for many other locations across the series following Season 4, to the point of where for the Great Discovery in Season 11, they actually just built an entirely new building based on it. Kinda neat if you ask me. The mill is stated to be based on the Muncaster Watermill on the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway, which funny enough inspired another watermill on Sodor, that being the Arlesdale Watermill, located along the Arlesdale Railway in the Railway series specifically. Rheneas Watermill unfortunately stopped appearing after Season 4 in the show, however it has stayed iconic to fans for decades, probably helped by the narrator's mention of the waterfall behind it in the start of the episode 4 Little Engines from Season 4. Definitely a mill I didn't want to leave behind in this list. Alright, this next one is a weird one, as it only appeared a handful of times and wasn't even a full-fledged watermill for the entirety of its appearances in the show. That, of course, being the aptly named Flour Mill, which first appeared in Season 5 in the episode Horrid Lorry. In this episode, Toby goes to the mill to pick up flour, hoping to not find competition from a lorry there. He does anyway, though, as the mill owner was trialing Lorry 3. All the lorries got their comeuppance in the end, but still a bit of a bad day for Toby. It is also said to be across from the sawmill seen in By George, evidenced by this shot of James passing it here. Note the metal frame shed thing. The mill is located on the Brendam Branch Line, better known as Edwards Line, just outside of Sudbury on the north side of the town. How it gets its water, though, is a bit of a mystery to me, as the nearest water source, the River Mara, is on the complete opposite side of Sudbury, with the town directly between the two. So unless there is a canal, or a weird long offshoot stream, or maybe just some other water source, I have no idea how this is supposed to work. The mill was eventually rebuilt by the time of Season 8, however, and at that point it did not have a water wheel, so a bit of a Season 5 relic, but a very cool one nonetheless. Here's one you all probably forgot about, but I thought it was worth a mention here because the prop for it is awesome. This mill right here, the Hillside Mill, which only appeared once in the Season 12 episode Man in the Hills, and it is shown on the Sam Wilkinson map to be north of Crosney Kern, just before the Bluebell Valley and Stepney's Shed. According to the wiki, one of the millers who works here is a man simply known as the Dusty Miller, and Thomas mistook him for the Man in the Hills in the Season 12 episode it appeared in. Funny enough, for as random and nothing as this location kinda is, it actually has a water source that makes sense, as there is a small lake nearby, presumably slightly higher above in terms of sea level, meaning a creek or waterway could easily run downhill to supply the mill. Definitely worth a mention here. Comes to merchandise for Sodor Watermills, there actually is a bit to choose from, although accuracy varies, and to be honest, I don't own, nor do I intend on owning all of these, so treat this segment as less of a review, and more so just me showcasing stuff. Here is the 2014 Steaming Around Sodor set with the Elsbridge Mill, aka the Watermill, modeled here. Interesting choice of design to say the least, and to be honest, all of the toys I'm going to list here are based on the Elsbridge Mill, just so you guys are aware. There's also this small wooden railway mill with a blue roof that came out in 1994, simply called the Wooden Railway Grist Mill. There's the 2015 Wooden Railway Musical Melody track set with varying degrees of accuracy, although I do like how it has some brighter blue with its watercoloring. Oh yeah, I can't forget this excuse for a watermill from Trackmaster Revolution. What is this? And a really tiny one from the Bandai Thomastown range in Japan. Saving the best for last, though, we have the Ertl Miniatures Watermill with Duck Pack, and the Tomix Trains Watermill, with the Tomix one probably being the most accurate in my opinion. And there you have it, folks. Pretty well everything I have to say on the various watermills of the island of Sodor. Thank you for watching, and if you guys want to hear me talk about more Sodor locations, I think I could definitely make that happen. I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!